The world we live in.
All right, welcome. Welcome to all the ball hockey community. We are here for episode 16 of season 1 of the Neutral Zone. And I'm honored to be here with my co-host Stomps to probably, I'd say, close out the year with our last episode of the year before we bring in the new year, 2021, which we'll talk a little bit about in a bit. But welcome, Stomps. Welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Thank you very much, Nav. We got to fix that issue with the opening music, but otherwise, I'm sure.
You couldn't hear it?
It cuts in and out. I don't know why.
That's weird. I got this whole super duper high quality microphone here. It's still not doing its job. Maybe I have to go back to Amazon and get it.
What if my son sent you like a file of the song so you could play it from your computer?
Yeah, that might be a good idea, actually.
That might work better.
Look, I've always said we need a multimedia guy. If that happens. Sorry about that. I was just getting a call. Okay, so listen, we have a pretty exciting show ahead of us here. Stomps and I are gonna make sure you all stay very entertained for the next 45 minutes to an hour. We're here on December 28th, 2020. You're tuning into the Neutral Zone, episode 15 of season 1.
You said 16 earlier.
Oh, did I say 16? Okay. Man, I that's why we got the fact checker here. Listen, before I get started, just two big things I want to say. First and foremost, we're not going to have an episode on Wednesday, but I just want to do a pre-wish happy birthday to my co-host Stomps. It's going to be his birthday on Wednesday. Really excited for you to celebrate that. What are we turning? Do you want to share with the community how old you're going to be?
57.
Awesome. That's a great age, man. So that's a big deal. It's great. You actually were probably one of the last people in our community to celebrate a pandemic birthday. Everybody had a pandemic.
That's a great thing.
Right.
Something to be known for.
Yeah, well, we've all had to have our share of pandemic birthdays. But no, we wish you the best. Hey, what do you got planned for Wednesday?
Well, a little of this, a little of that. Nothing much. Low key.
Order in?
Maybe. We just, my wife and I, we didn't even exchange gifts on Christmas. How about that dirty little secret? We're not big at, it's like we don't need stuff, it's just stuff, right?
Yeah.
If we need something or if we want something, we don't prevent each other from getting it at any point during the year. So I don't know. I think these holidays are more than just the gifts.
Yeah.
So
no, I hear you. But you've had a pretty important milestones as well. I mean, we weren't able to recognize your silver anniversary, your 25th anniversary last month. I think that was That was November. What was the exact date for that?
December the 8th.
December the 8th. So that's happy 25th anniversary. Unfortunately, I was out of town, so we couldn't do a special anniversary Neutral Zone episode for you. But you've had the anniversary, and then you had the birthday. Obviously, you've had December's turning out to be a very busy month for you.
It always is.
Yeah.
When you have a birthday right around Christmas, everybody always says, "Oh, you got ripped off when you were a kid." And there's some truth to that. It's like, here's your gift. That counts for both Christmas and your birthday. No, no, I wouldn't even say that. My parents always made sure, and relatives and whatnot. I never went without, so I'm not going to complain.
Right. No, listen.
Hey, I share a birthday with Tiger Woods.
Wow. Those are
How about that?
Two very talented people.
Right. Probably the two greatest athletes to have December 30th as their birthday.
I mean, there's 1A and 1B right there. Let me say this, though. On behalf of the Chicago ball hockey community, on behalf of Dynamo, happy birthday to you, Stomps. Pretty excited to be able to have this pre-celebration for you. And I will be talking to you on Wednesday, but this is great news, man. And we'll probably see each other Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
No, good stuff, buddy. Hey, obviously less newsworthy than your birthday, and I'm sure you don't know this, but something interesting happened in the NBA yesterday. And and I watched the NBA because of my younger son, Adam. Um, the Clippers lost by 51 points
To who?
to the Dallas Mavericks. And at halftime, they were losing by 50 points, which I believe is the record in NBA history of the biggest gap between two teams at halftime since the era of the shot clock.
Wow.
So,
Well, we
that's-
could tell who was hot from probably 3-point range and who was ice cold, obviously.
yeah, that's really what they were breaking that down this morning. Some other breaking news in the world of ball hockey. We wish him well. He's somebody who's been on the show several times. He's near and dear to us. I like to call him the man with gentle charisma. William Billy Jacques has tested positive for the coronavirus. And we wish him well. I spoke to him yesterday. He is, he just characterized it as just a really bad cold. But he's doing all the responsible things, with his family, quarantining, doing all those right things. It's never a good time to get coronavirus, but obviously right now during the holidays is probably no fun for him. So anything
Yeah.
on your side there?
And we wish Billy all the best. I'm sure we won't see him now for a little bit. I know he's a strong guy. He'll get over this and move on. And of course we wish him all the best. Billy's our guy.
Yeah.
Played with and against him for many years, so I have full confidence that he'll be back in action before we know it.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And I always like to make the joke about how he recovered from knee surgery. And I was always saying his recovery was as fast as Trump's recovery with COVID. So maybe we'll really see the Trump COVID recovery with Billy Jacques, which would be great. But I spoke to him, like I said to you earlier, he sounds really good and he's going to rebound pretty quickly. We have had a couple of COVID survivors throughout the year. And we always hear the bad news on the news about people that, succumb to the virus. But in our little ball hockey community, we've been afflicted by it. I would say at least the ones we know are between half a dozen to a dozen guys, and they've all turned out to be successful. There was the guy that played on the Green Machine. I don't know his name. He was the first one that
Rossi.
Yeah, and I think he's works in ambulance or paramedics or something like that. So good for him. And then obviously Billy Jacques and Joe Gleason. We send our deepest condolences. Maybe you could share with Joe Gleason. I think he's lost somebody recently.
Yeah, his mother-in-law within the last week or so. So yeah, definitely condolences to Joe and family.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me know about that yesterday. I was unaware of that. But on a more positive note, before we get and pass it over to you, Stomps, listen, while the news media is always talking about the vaccine and the rollout, and we're always looking for things to panic the public. We don't go there on the neutral zone. We stick to positive news, and we're fair and balanced, and we're right down the middle here. One of the things I just wanted to say is, while we are talking about some of these things with the virus, it's very exciting, and I'm sure many of you can share this enthusiasm with me. We're playing a lot of hockey. We're getting out there. We're doing it in a safe and entertaining and fun way. But with this rollout of the vaccine, despite not having it full immunity across the country, I think we got bright days to come in 2021. What would you say, Stubbs?
Oh, no doubt. But I mean, it's been great down the stretch here in 2020. Hey, everybody's kind of up to here with lockdowns and can't do this, can't do that. And, so I think most people are pretty responsible. And like you said it best, I mean, we've managed to play in an entertaining way, in a safe way. I think in a safe way for the most part. I mean, I think people are pretty respectful of each other. And I don't want to be hugging everybody anyway. So
Right.
I don't have a problem standing at the end of the bench and making room for everyone else. And so, yeah, it's been fun. We've had some night games. We had another set of 2 night games. Quite honestly, and thanks go to, the guys that were there. I mean, certainly early, Steve, Rocco, and Ryan. And I were there kind of getting the floor as ready as we could to play. I honestly thought there was no way with the standing water that was out there. But the rest of the floor was good. So Steve's like, we're going, we're playing. So we got the push brooms out and the squeegee. And then actually at the end of the day, it was actually better than the first set of night games when the condensation made it really slippery. This was not it wasn't as bad. So
Speaking of games, Steve Fiorito has scheduled a game for New Year's Day.
yeah.
Folks have signed up for that. Steve, if you're listening at home, I'm a regular and I love coming out to all the games you host, and I think you do a really nice job. Can you please make it a little bit more obvious though when there's a game, and since I love the commitment to the humor and hangovers and all that kind of stuff. But I let that thing just kind of gloss over because I thought it was just a message or a post or something. And I love to sign up, but now I'm second on the wait list. So Steve, if you're able to put maybe something like game sign up and then put your humor at the second part, that would be really helpful. And maybe if I stand alone in this, that's fine. Maybe I'm just not the guy that's as detailed as the rest, but I think you would get a lot more people wanting to sign up. And I'm going to throw this out here as a suggestion. Maybe we get 2 games for that day, just because we got a 10 o'clock slot, and maybe we get another one at 11:30, because I think you're going to get more people interested later in the day as well, because it's New Year's Day. But I think it's all weather dependent, right?
Oh yeah. Right now it's iffy, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, some people had trouble with Steve's Wednesday night game because he called it Christmas Eve game because it was on December 23rd, and some people thought it was Christmas Eve, which was the 24th, and they messed that up. I'm sure he'll take it to heart, and he'll be a little more clear. I actually almost missed it this morning. I mean, I heard rumors that there was going to be a January 1st. I just happened to go to the app and got one of the last 2 slots, and then I texted you about it. So.
Right. Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I haven't talked about this with you, Stomps, but it's a surprise. I'll share with you and the community watching us, the viewers at home. You're watching the last episode of season 1 of the Neutral Zone, episode 16.
It is.
And I would just like to say, Stomps and I are in the middle of planning an exciting New Year's Day Neutral Zone. So
we are.
Well,
what's the plan? Is this a Cobra Kai thing?
The Cobra Kai, baby. So that's why I mentioned that, because if I don't get on that off that wait list and onto the roster, I will probably be binge watching Cobra Kai on Friday.
Wow.
Season 3, for those of you out there. If you could sneak away from Cobra Kai to play hockey or join us for a special New Year's Day episode of the Neutral Zone, that would be awesome.
This is news to me.
I know. I wanted to surprise you. Hey, do you want to tell the community about my ancestry DNA?
Well, I don't know if everybody does. I mean, you got to pay money to get the DNA test, and then so we pay annually for these, to be in the group and get updates. So your latest update revealed that you're 0.5% Italian,
Yep.
and I know you're thrilled.
I love the Italians.
I mean, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, I had the test done a few years ago, and man, has it changed over those few years. But
I think the more they get, I guess, contributors or subscribers to it, the more they're able to identify
Yeah.
the commonalities, and they get a bigger pool of people, and you'll find more of your relatives and your ancestors. But you have an interesting, I mean, you got a lot of different ones going on. Like you got Greek and Cyprus. I thought that was one of the most interesting ones, the Cyprus one.
yeah, Balkans,
Yeah.
still mostly Italian ancestry, running about 70% plus there.
Right.
Greek is 15%, so
That's pretty significant.
and that's the Southern Europe, Mediterranean area. But I got to tell you, in our family, there was always some rivalry between the Italians and the Greeks.
I mean, back then they didn't have DNA testing, so I'm sure that rivalry probably would have got a little bit more pacified if they knew they came from the same spot, right?
Maybe. But hey, I love Greek food. Love it like Italian food. So there you go.
Hey, listen, I know he's not a big viewer of the show. I'd love him to be a viewer of the show, though. And I think there's one guy who can have influence on him. And speaking of Italians, tell us about an Italian who had a comeback last week at Palatine. The return.
Of I can't. I was at Woodridge.
You were not
last
there,
month.
but you had known about his return, Freddie Coletta.
Was he there?
So I heard from my
Now,
sources that he was there and he played well. He hasn't missed a step.
He had reached out to me. I was looking forward to seeing him, but then I got committed to the Woodridge thing, and then I just totally forgot about it. So I'm going to have to reach out to him, and hopefully we can get him out again. Because Freddie, great guy, great teammate, many years on the Raiders. And of course, he's a Chicago policeman, so he's doing some heavy lifting, keeping everybody safe and keeping the streets safe. And yeah, so miss seeing him. And it's funny you bring that up because wow, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him after the show.
Yeah, and because you were the one who brought it to my attention.
I know.
One of my sources told me that he was there last week and he played really well. One of the things I forgot to say in the update, in the intro, was for those of you who subscribe and tune into the Neutral Zone, Stomps and I are doing some new things where we're doing exclusive interviews. And Stomps has interviewed a couple of people in the last week.
Yeah, well, and I need to make a correct the record on the interviews from yesterday. I had said at least once, maybe twice, that our friend Timmy Stalin did not score in the 8 a.m. game, when in fact he did score. But it just goes to show you when a team holds them, let's say, to 1 goal, it's like almost holding him to none because we expect more. And I got to play with him on the forward line. I was excited. I like playing with Tim. You're always going to get chances, and sure enough, I did. I failed to put one of them away that he just gave me almost basically an open net, and kicking myself for that. But I think they were keeping their eyes on Tim quite a bit yesterday, and that opened the door for one Sam Espinoza, who bagged 6 in our game and led us to that victory. Great goaltending by Dave Schmiel. I have to mention that to soothe his ego and his psyche. And then I thought you guys back on defense played really well. And and we had enough offense, and we came away with a good victory. And we had some good. The interviews were with Art and Anthony and Ryan yesterday.
Right.
You can get those on YouTube if you want to see them.
Yeah. They're generating some interest. I've seen the views going up on that. I also think the week before we had done 2 interviews, one with Andre.
Right.
And then the second one, oh, it's escaping me now. Do you remember who the second one was with? Oh boy.
Yeah, my memory's shot too.
Holidays. I got it over here. The first one was with Andre, and then the second we had one with Gerard.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Gerard's got it. He's a man of many talents. No, so we're trying to, get more people involved. So if you're listening at home, Steve Fiorito, you wanted us to get more people involved. We're going to try to get as many people involved as we can. Everybody's always willing to get on. I didn't forget about you, Rocco. I saw you there yesterday, but I think it was kind of in between games, and I believe you played the second game, and we had the break between the first and third, so I couldn't get you on an interview. So you're definitely on our list, Rocco. There's a lot to talk about with you. We might even want to have you on the show just because of your outstanding net minding and the fact that I was equally impressed with the way you played defense in that Sunday last week. Really aggressive and positionally sound. So
he played really well Wednesday night, playing out. Did not play goalie. So he played some forward, some defense. Rocco's good. He's got skill. He could score. He's the man.
Yeah, I like him too. He's a nice guy too, Rocco. If you're listening, you come always with a smile on your face, and you have a really good, positive demeanor at the game. We need more guys like that, and everybody's who they are. But thanks for bringing that positive energy to the group, man. It's great. Now, does Rocco play in Palatine though?
Not that I'm aware of.
Love to get him out there at some point. So you already had done a little bit of a recap of the Woodridge game.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk a little bit more about Woodridge?
Well, I mean, that third game yesterday. Well, I'm trying to think of the second game. I watched some of it. I don't know. I can't remember too much about it. I think Alex was in that game dominating again. I can't remember. Sammy scored. Sammy Espinoza, because I think he had at least 9 goals between the 2 games, if not more.
Yeah, there was a little bit of controversy on Sammy Espinoza and Timmy getting in that second game. They bumped all the guys on the wait list.
Yeah, I understand. Didn't bother me, honestly. I was going to try and play 3 games yesterday. I probably couldn't walk afterwards if I did, because I was really sore after the third game. The third game just didn't feel right. But I remember in the second game, now as I was watching, there were several plays near Steve Fiorito in goal. They were oh wow moments where either he came up with an insane save, or there was an open net and somebody reached out and blocked a shot. Just crazy things happening around the net, and everybody who was watching on the side and people on the benches were hooting it up. So that was kind of fun. I mean, the third game, I don't know. It was tough because I was beat at that point, and we didn't have as good a showing as we would have liked. But, kudos to Kenny Schmidt.
Oh,
he played great in goal, I'll tell you what.
I agree with that. That he played incredible. I mean, incredible. I mean, he was Him, I think I said it to you after the game. I thought he played well. He was one of the keys to victory. And then I think our offense played really well. We had, oh yeah, it was you mentioned it earlier, Alex.
Alex.
Alex played really well. I wasn't so critical of Troy's game. I thought we had to work hard to beat him. I thought he's a great goalie, and he's not. You got to wake up real early to beat him. I tell you, he's a great goalie.
Yeah, without question. I mean, he was screened on a number of the goals, and there were a couple that went in that were uncharacteristic. There was Frank D with one of his famous. You got to be, if you're a goalie and Frank D's out there, you better be hugging the post and you better be alert, because he always tries to bank it off the side of the goalie, or just sneak one in between the goalie and the post, on a bad angle shot. He tries that all the time, and so I would tell all the goalies to be on the lookout for that. Sorry, Frank, but your secret's out.
Yeah, well, Frank's he's an effective player. I always talk about him. He earns every piece of real estate in front of the net. He'll fight for that. Last week, him and Dante got into a little bit of a tussle there.
Oh, he was mixing it up. He mixed it up with me a couple of times. He's always having to apologize. If he would behave himself, he wouldn't have to apologize.
Well, listen.
All right, it's hockey.
Yeah, it's hockey, but I will say one thing about him. He has really good self-awareness. I mean, for the fact that he apologizes, and doesn't let things escalate, I like him for that. He's been a great addition to this group. I'm just really glad to play with him. I don't usually get to play on his team. I was on his team yesterday, and boy, I tell you, he was. I think he was getting tired because he played that 9. Those 2 games can be really rough on the body. I mean, especially when you have the break. I find that break in between.
Well, and with the cold weather, it's just, I mean, I was freezing, and I had layers on, but
right.
You're getting your muscles getting cold, and at my age, it's not good. If I was much younger, I wouldn't even think twice about it. But
right. I do want to call out one special mention from Woodridge, as well as the way he's been playing. Roger Romano.
Yeah, definitely. He had a big goal in that third game. A backhander from about, I'd say, 18 feet out. So it wasn't like he was right in the crease area. He was out a little ways. It surprised me. I think it surprised Troy over the glove. And I don't know if he was screened on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, he scored a big goal yesterday too in the third game. He was on our team.
Well, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay, but he also, in the Wednesday game, he scored the winning goal against Schmiel in that game where they came back.
You mean the one? I think it went. Whose stick did it go off of? One of our defensemen.
Yeah.
But he did get the winner. Yes, you're right.
Get the winner. So I mean, listen,
this still counts as a goal.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a guy that I've been watching. I haven't known him really well in Palatine, but I've been seeing him in Woodridge lately, and he's coming out more regularly. He actually got onto the game for New Year's Day, so that's good. It's good to see new, fresh faces out there.
Isn't he a Bearcat?
He is a Bearcat. So where's Bobby D these days?
Bobby D is still on the injured list. Yeah, I exchanged some texts with him, and I think his back is still hurting him. So, we miss Bobby D.
Yeah, get well out there. Another guy who, I never underestimate him is another guy who's been really coming out quite regularly is Steve Grass.
Steve Grass. I talked about his golf prowess on one of the shows, I believe, but Steve, and he's got a great shot. He's got good instincts. He's solid player. He's a longtime Toro. We talked about his face-off capabilities.
Right.
Normal face-offs. I don't count that Woodridge stuff as a typical face-off. I'm talking referee dropping or linesman dropping the puck.
Absolutely. You know, something I'll say about Steve Grass, and you came out to Woodridge. It's probably coming on to your 1 year anniversary for Woodridge. I think it's March, right? For your Woodridge anniversary. One of the things I will say is Steve Grass and I and Timmy's son Dylan. We were, and I think it might have even have been Eric a part of that as well. I'm pretty sure we had a dynasty going in Woodridge because prior a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2017, Eric had introduced teams, and it was me, Timmy, Grass, Dylan, probably a couple more people, but we had a very like slim bench. Like we probably only had like 6 or 7 guys, and we had won a couple of championships out there. And then Steve Grass kind of became irregular coming out there. Now he's back again as a regular, and I can tell you, seeing him over and over the last few weeks that he's been there, he's just getting exponentially better. I mean, he's every week he's becoming more of a. I mean, it's like he's just getting everything back, I guess, and he's playing really well. Now, does he come to Palatine too?
Haven't seen him in a while up there. Haven't seen him in a while up there, but we know he's played a lot at Palatine.
Right.
But, you know, I haven't talked to him about it, but I'm sure, you know, I mean, I think a lot of us starting to gravitate more to Woodridge because it suits our games a little more. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, it's hard to run up and down the floor at Palatine.
Right.
You know, I take short shifts because, oof.
Hey, I got a question for you. We're talking about like, you know, guys that have returned. Like today we talked about Freddie Coletta, talking about the pseudo return of Grass, even though he's been around. Last week we talked about Lane, Lane,
Dave Lane.
Dave Lane. When are we going to see the return of Brian Ganutek?
I don't know. I'm looking for him on the milk carton. Where is he? Exchanged a little bit of texting with him, so he's still out there.
Good.
But we haven't seen him for a few weeks, and yeah, I hope he gets back out there soon.
I do too, man. We miss you, brother. I hope you come back and join us. Everybody needs a guy on their team to yell at them, and you know he puts the fear of God in you. He did that for Dynamo. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the leagues starting up again. I miss this team.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can reunite, start playing games again at some point.
It is nice though. I must say at Woodridge when we get to see like Danielle, Alex, obviously yourself, Brian Ganutek, even Larissa. You know, I consider Larissa a Dynamo player as well.
Yeah.
I get to see her, which is a nice segue into what I wanted. Sabatini. And then we had Fleet on the show last week for the special Christmas edition.
Right.
Hey, which is a nice segue since we're talking about Danielle and Larissa and Alex. You know, I got to tell you, I got to give kudos to some of these players out there that wear masks while they play. I've tried it several times and I got to just rip it off. I can't play with a mask. And they seem to be doing it regularly. Now, have you tried it?
I actually did one of the tournament weekends, and it was quite cold, and it actually helped me because I felt like it kept the cold air out of my lungs a little bit more. But I tried it once at Palatine, and I only lasted a shift with it. I couldn't breathe.
Right. That's been my experience as well. That's been my experience. Hey, question or update, maybe more or less. I know we're going to get started in the new year with some real topics, and we'll work together on putting together a nice calendar of topics for our episodes. But it looks like this Masters thing is really, Frank's really want to get this thing to take off, eh?
Yeah, he's reached out through the Team TC app, and looks like it's Team Chicago, the Gentlemen's Club, taking part of Lou's organization, working it into the TC concept. So he's recruiting guys. Yes, we're still on the air. Goodbye. Golly. I'm a lot less forgiving than you are. I see you once in a while talking to your family members off to the side. You're much more gentle, whereas my anger builds. No. What were we talking about?
You were talking about the Masters. You were talking about the Masters.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, New Jersey's, it looks like a focus on the Masters, which is now it's what the age you have to be over 40, but each team can have 3 individuals that are 37, 38, or 39. Is it something like that?
I think so. I think that's, yeah.
Is that a Philadelphia thing, or is that just in general?
Well, I know when we went to Philadelphia tournament that Frank had organized in September of 2015, and it was like a tournament / tryout. I know that Chelly and Bruner joined us on the team, and both of them were under 40 at the time. I think they were 37 or 38. So I think Chelly's obviously over 40 now, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure Bruner is as well. But there's some good players in that late 30 bracket. There's some good Masters, but I think we have a pretty good crop of players in the Masters in the Chicago area. But it looks like they did identify a team manager.
Dante.
Yeah. The class.
Well, they didn't identify him. He volunteered.
So he didn't have to go through like a series of background checks and interviews?
Apparently not. But, I mean, hey, Dante knows a lot about the game, so he's going to be a big help to be part of that. And I just want Frank to know that I'm giving some serious consideration of throwing my hat in the ring. Even though I don't traditionally travel to tournaments, I play the local ones. But
do you credit me for having some influence to that?
Well, and I think there's an excitement building around the older crop, which is great. I mean,
yeah. Well, I know Frank's a longtime listener, longtime viewer, always a guest on this show. He was part of us kickstarting this. Frank was part of also the graphic design of the Neutral Zone logo. One thing, Frank, if you're listening to this one, which I know you are, also John Trapani has expressed an interest in the Masters, and I think he would be another great addition. So I think you're going to get some people very interesting that are qualified, and they're going to make this team even stronger than it already is, which is pretty strong the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a pool of guys you can draw now from out of Woodridge. Yeah, I definitely agree. It could be a deep team.
I understand there's some excitement on the goaltending front there too. We have 2 very capable goalies, and Billy Jacques and Dave Nelson has put his name in the hat as well.
That's what I heard. And then I mean, Adam is part of that mix too, right? Adam Bruno.
Adam Bruno is of age though.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
he may not qualify on the Masters side of the house.
Yeah.
So you're probably right about that.
So I think, I was talking about this. I think it's a good practice to have 2 goalies. The challenge with that is if you're limited to the number. I mean, I don't want to speak for the goalies, but if I'm getting into a goalie's head, which is definitely not a place I want to be in very often, but if you have 2 goalies and you have a condensed schedule and you're not playing too many games and you have 2 goalies, how do you divvy up the time? So I think that's a decision that Frank and whoever he appoints as part of his coaching committee is going to have to think carefully about.
It's a tough thing. And I think they would just draw on experience. This is not their first rodeo, so they know how to deal with that. But I mean, I'd hate to be, let's call it the backup goaltender, and spend the time and expense to go out somewhere for a tournament and get maybe some warm-up shots, but no game time. That wouldn't be good. But what if somebody gets hurt, right? It's good to have a second person, and maybe that second person needs to be somebody who could also play out, and that they can go back into the net if necessary. I mean, that might be the way to do it, but
Yeah. Well, I don't know
but
if Dave Nelson, I've never seen Dave Nelson or Billy Jacques play out.
yeah, I don't think. Well, Billy likes to occasionally take a stick and take some slap shots in the warm-ups, and he can shoot it. I've seen him do it,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he's ever played out. I mean, that could be where Dante comes into play. He's out there playing defense. If you need a goalie in a pinch, the veteran Mark Dante.
Yeah. Well, I did propose that to him yesterday. He seemed very against it.
He probably hasn't been in net for decades.
I think the only goaltending that Dante wants to get close to is being a goaltending coach. I've seen him. He's very constructively critical on some of the goalies out there, including his own son at times.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Hey, last week I did, in our episode last week, we talked about some of the up and comer players and Josh and Adesh, and I feel like there's more. I feel like we didn't do justice to the up and coming future players.
Maybe. Who did you have in mind?
Well, I mean, we've seen Jacob. He came out there yesterday.
Yeah.
Gabe's brother. There's Patty. There's a couple of other.
We've talked about Patty.
Yeah, we did talk about Patty.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Suleiman. Haven't seen him lately. Where's he been?
Sleeping.
What about Adam? Adam made his debut like over the summer or whatever, and then that was it. He grabbed the basketball again.
Yeah, no, we'll get him back out there. As soon as this Palatine starts having the ability to let more people in, I think they'll jump back on.
Yeah. Lots of good players. Lots of good players.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. We're going to shortly close out here unless you have any last minute announcements.
No, I don't think so. We covered it all pretty much that I had in mind. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody or something, but I did want to correct the record.
Get your DIY goal.
How'd that sound for you?
Well, we do need a audio visual for sure.
But what I'm going to ask Frank to do when we get Frank on here to talk about the Masters is it'd be really good to have an episode on here where we go through all the Masters players and profile them.
Wow.
And talk through them all. I know it's a lot of work, Frank, but I'll tell you, it's going to generate a lot of excitement. And for the guys out there watching from home or wherever you're watching from, I got to tell you, the Masters guys, we really love having you as viewers and subscribers. You guys are always talking about the show and your excitement about the show. So thanks on behalf of Stomps and I, thanks for your support.
Definitely. And Dante said, the thing about the Masters tournaments are our team can compete very well. Not that we can't at the other level, but it's harder. It's a much different situation with a lot of these teams out of Canada and the Northeast. But on a Masters level, at least according to Dance, it's a very competitive situation.
It's going to be interesting to break down to understand why. I wonder if it's just because a lot of the guys just continue to play in their 40s and 50s in the Chicago area, where the other guys had so much success and they just decided to hang them up like the NHL players do.
Could be. I don't know.
Well,
it's a theory.
We'll jump into a little bit more of that in 2021. Wishing everybody a very safe and healthy New Year's Eve in 2021. I think it's safe to say it can only go up from here.
a lot of times it's what you make it, you know? I mean, and that's not to discount tragedies and bad things that happen to people and their families. I'm not discounting that at all, but I'm just saying, we still got a lot to be thankful for, even in 2020, despite all the challenges. That's how I look at it.
Well said, man. With every difficulty, there is some ease, and sometimes it's hard to see it. Appreciate you, Stomps. It's been a blast in 2020. Looking
Yeah.
forward to,
About it.
yeah, looking forward to having an even more successful 2021. Again, happy pre-birthday to you. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Look forward to your continued support. You've just watched episode 16 in season 1 of the Neutral Zone with Stomps and Nav.